Happy Friday, everybody. Just back from Toronto last night. The Red Cloud Mining Fall Showcase. Outstanding event. I mean, it's really a treat to be able to go to an event like this where you get to see a lot of Red Cloud clients and a lot of companies that have done exceptionally well year to date, like north of 100%. Seeing that in a challenging economic environment and whatnot is pretty awesome, because most of the time everyone's talking about the stock market. They're talking about AI and tech and everything else, but to see the junior space with some big, huge upside when the junior space is still largely ignored is really exciting. And then to be further encouraged by what's being developed and what's happening, and what better place to just jump on the Lausanne curve, because that's always a great kind of entry point to talk about the exploration cycle, where people can make money. Because at the end of the day, people ask, well, how do I make money in this market or in junior market? So there's no better place to be than at an event where Pierre Lassonde is a keynote speaker. And these things will be posted online as well. But we tend to focus here, like we see right now, and this is from the Hedgeless Horseman website. You can subscribe. This is one of the better kind of graphs that I saw that was very simple, straightforward. Once again, that's the hedgelesshorseman.com. Take a look at the website. You can subscribe to his newsletter. This is a great graph to kind of give you an example of where money's made. Most of you are watching know this already, but we're trying to reach out to new people, get them excited. Is this first stage of exploration? We tend to spend a lot of time there. That is the R&D highest risk speculative area. But this is also, as you see in that curve, where you can really, truly add value. And people usually see that curve. That's where they play, because the gains are enormous. I mean, they're shocking. They're incredible. Even in terrible markets, like if someone has a good discovery, it's big news. It's less exciting when you get past that, because if they actually have a discovery and move it forward, it's a very long process. So funds that are involved in any of that, these are giant funds, kind of like infrastructure funds, that have 10, 20, 30, 40-year horizons. And that's not everyone out there. Those are very specific. A lot of family office, a lot of old money. They focus on needing a very long, consistent rates of return. That's traditionally, but that's also being turned on its head, because everyone is well aware of whether you want to call it the climate crisis or energy transition, whatever it is, there is a steep lack of supply of most of these metals. And interesting enough, not to go into too much detail, but it was gold, talking about as the keynote speaker. Everyone was very excited. And the final statement from Pierre Lassonde, someone in the crowd said, "I've got a question. What's your favorite metal?" And of course, everyone's expecting copper, and he said, gold. And he says, "It's copper." So that was a lot of fun, because a lot of shocked faces, like, what? We just spent like 25 minutes talking about gold and how incredible and how exciting and the upside and that this is happening, kind of thing. So it's something different to be at an event too in person. I mean, you can read people a lot better than on camera. Also, a lot of times when a CEO or anyone who's professional is doing an interview, I tend to be very facial. Like I'll give you an expression, but a lot of times people feel that they have to be very stoic. They also have to be careful that they're not promotional, and that's just, I mean, ethically they don't want to be too salesy. But whenever you're in person, you can see if someone is just like they're jacked, like they're having a good time, like they feel very confident, and that is in part to this is very important. It's hard to fake. I mean, there's lots of people who can fake, and tell you the world about a project. You generally, having been a broker, for years, understanding how sales works, it's easy to read. Maybe not so much for other people, but when someone genuinely has, and you're watching all of them, the words they use, how they speak, everything else, you can get a sense of things very well as well. So overall, we had a great time. We did like 20 interviews, I think, in total. And most of them, almost all of them, were like very impressive. Like they were a lot of fun. It was a lot of good things happening. And that really got me excited, again, to be quite honest. And this is, no mistake, it's a challenging time. We've got all sorts of changes in the air happening lots of opinions on it. But regardless, I think people are starting to come to terms with a number of things. And let's just jump right into gold, because this is all going to tie in together. We've got the World Gold Council has come out with gold reaching new highs today. They are suggesting that, yes, we've always looked at gold as being kind of to deal with inflation. And I always point out, well, how can gold and silver be up at where they at? And people say, oh, inflation is 2%. Everything's fine. Like, it's no problem. And I don't want to harp on that. Everyone knows what's wrong right now, but not enough people know that they should be looking at precious metals. And once again, you don't have to listen to me. Go talk to your advisor. The West is a little bit behind on this, but this is something you need to be talking to and researching and finding out more about. We're going to have Andy Schekman on next week. This guy is great. He'll be on live. We'll of course repost that video, but I love talking with Andy. He knows everything about gold. We're going to ask him more about this World Gold Council report, where they've come out with a new model, and it's called the Gold Long-Term Expected Return model. And they're looking at GDP as a factor in the financial markets, and they're looking at a number of different kind of inputs to kind of look at gold entering a different phase of just being an inflation hedge, like that kind of regular story that you hear. Once again, we're not going to get into that right now. Andy will have done a ton of research, I'm sure. He'll know everything about it. And we'll of course talk about BRICS. We'll talk about all of those things that are affecting gold. And people sometimes you say, well, it's at an all-time high, maybe I should sell. It's like, well, yeah, maybe if you've done pretty well, but what are you going to go into? And then two, what is on the horizon that looks anyway stable for anything else? We are shifting into this market that we've been talking about for a long time, for years. It does seem like, I hate to try to predict the future, although that's a lot of what, whether you're a fund or you're in the stock market, you use all these tools to attempt to model out what the future might look like with as much probability as you can. It really does seem like the things that we've been focused on for years and years and years, and not just me. I mean, people in this space, all the talking heads, all the bright minds that have been in it for decades, they're acknowledging that this is happening, and it's happening not only for gold and silver. It's this realization there on that front, and it usually starts with that, to then all of these producers, which are doing quite well, and they're aggressively moving, they're doing an M&A, they're looking at deals, they know they have to replace or that they're using. It's going to ramp up. And we've talked about it before. When they start doing well, if you want to squeeze money into this sector, it's challenging. Like, it doesn't take much to make it go spiral upwards, like exciting wise. So even giant funds that look at deals, they're like, oh, how do we get into this? Like, we spoke with one company. We'll jump into it here in a second. They've got $100 million from BHP. And, they'll take that to an institutional client, and the client might go, well, we need to give you like a couple billion, but we can't give you a couple billion. You don't even have that's not even your market cap. So there's this big gap between the huge amounts of money that are flowing out there that can't get into some of these projects because it's just too big. They need to place like 500 million at a time. The numbers out there in finance are staggering. I mean, you're almost getting bored to death with a $12 billion chip deal here and this over here, and $100 billion AI deal over here. Like, the numbers are staggering. Whereas, like, it doesn't take a fraction of that to start moving a mining sector. And once again, you can't have any of that. You can't have any of the chips unless you've got all the mining and material. And all of the whether it's Wood Mackenzie or analysts at Goldman Sachs have been saying there's a copper shortage, there's a demand and supply need coming. We're going to be reaching it very quick. BHP put out a great report. It's 30 pages on copper demand. So what this needs is to reach as many people as possible to get them excited about what's happening here. And Andy Schekman is going to be great. We're going to talk to him next week. So let people know that's going to happen. We're going to put that out there too. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll chat with that specifically about him. Let's cover up a couple other just news pieces before I go into more about the entire show, because we're going to have like 20 interviews out next week. And we're not sure if we're going to just plop them out all at once or just one at a time. But but reach out to me too. We'll be writing quite a bit about things that I like, what I saw. Some of these stocks as well, they're already up, doing very well. But let's just, before we jump into that, just acknowledge a couple other deals going on. General Motors informing Lithium Americas their $625 million joint venture at Thacker Pass. That increased GM's stake to 38%. That's moving forward. We saw Rio Tinto with their lithium deal. You know, lithium was down low. A lot of lithium companies were struggling. I mean, hey, listen, there's a general business cycle, but there's also a cycle within the cycle of mining. You know, people forget. They think, oh, the lithium sector is dead. I'm going to shift over to uranium. Then I'm going to shift over to gold. Then I'm going to shift over to here. Listen, all of them are going to do very well. You know, lithium is going to get back in the hot seat here again soon, because people are going to realize where does all the lithium get processed? How are we going to get our lithium? That's going to matter. China is the dominant player in all of this stuff. And that matters because we just saw Kazatomprom, like 50% of their supply has gone right to China. That shot Cameco up in the last month, like 50%, but really in the last week, since that news came up, quite a bit as well. We love Cameco. We've owned it for a while. We're happy with that big gain. And you know, we're looking now at some of these exploration stories that we talked to at the show that are looking exceptional. And that's big news because that falls in line with the BRIC story. So it's a gold story with Kazakhstan. You know, they're more inside with Russia and China than they are certainly with the West. They're in a tough situation because they're right literally in the middle of that border there as well. But they're walking a fine line of their relationships and what they're going to do. And we see a lot of countries like that. And it's, you know, a lot of lack of leadership from the West. And there's jockeying for positioning as to who's going to start working with whom. And, you know, we really need to make some stronger partnerships out there. But regardless, the amount of uranium that's going to be required, and since 50% now is going to China, that means, you know, let's go. We're going to have to do a lot more drilling, get some of these assets going. And that bodes very well for Cameco and the rest of the companies that are exploring and building. And I mean, Cameco's not exploring. I mean, they need to start adding pounds. So some of these projects that have exceptional results, they're going to start looking very attractive too. And when these companies start making money, I mean, look at some of these gold companies. Like, they're going to be posting returns here soon. When they put their earnings out, they're going to be like staggering. And we haven't even gotten into the juniors that are doing well. That's going to be reflected soon and cause some of these majors to be catching a lot of attention. But they're going to have all this cash flow, and they know they have to start buying some ounces. They got to replace them, and this all trickles down. So let's, you know, I've jumped around a little bit here just because I'm excited. I mean, we've talked about, you know, a lot of things, but let me just pull up some of the notes here from the discussion at Red Cloud, because once again, being there, seeing the energy, it's pretty exciting, and to hear people just engage in what they're doing, and they're very excited. It's invigorating. It's exciting. We're gonna write out like things that we really like, and I'm gonna point out one here because just news here as well. West Red Lake Gold. So of course, I mean, we got to talk with Gwen Preston. Everyone knows her as the resource maven, and I even positioned this whenever I was talking to her is that she's done that job for, I think, for 12 or 15 years. Built up that brand, built up that amount of work and effort. Very well known in the space. She's probably interviewed every company, knows everybody. So for them, that's West Red Lake Gold, to attract her, and of course we didn't ask her what that would be, but I said they must have, like, to get you to come on board to just focus on them. That must have been quite an attractive position or opportunity. And of course, I mean, she's laughing because, yeah, it was. I mean, you would have to get, for someone like that, that's so well known, that knows all these companies very well, you would have to offer them something very special. And not only that, she would also know that there's something very special there. And this one is going to be a fun one, which we're going to get into much more in depth with. It was a great interview with Gwen because it does come with some controversy, because it is that pure gold Madsen project along with another project. But really, we focused on kind of the Madsen discussion with Gwen. that people have very strong opinions on. But I mean, today we just see Westlake Gold announces upsize to previously announced bought deal public offering. Big upsize. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here. I was speaking the last 2 days so much that thankfully I'll have the weekend to not speak to anybody. But anyways, that alone is one that's very, very interesting. And this ties into the Lassonde curve because this is at that other end. And Gwen, kind of stressed this. People don't realize how near term they're talking about getting production going. And if you want exposure, not to just, I mean, they've been hitting great grade. I mean, if you look back the last weeks and months of news releases, their assays are fantastic. So you've got that story. You've got a growth story there. But if you're looking for someone like who's going to be a new producer, who's coming on board, well, here you go. If you want some appetite for that, this is very near term. And Gwen, of course, is happy to talk to people that have any interest. We're going to try reaching out to her as much as possible to get some feedback and some info about it. But this is very exciting project. We're going to do a deep dive into it. And we would love your feedback because it is going to have a lot of, upset people that were in pure gold that didn't make out so well. And we'll talk a bit about that, what happened there, but also why sometimes in mistakes are in, issues that can also guide another team management and another, whack of money to come in and go, we see how we can fix this. And we see the upside and the opportunities. That's painful for the group one, but group two goes, no, we see where this can work. Of course, this is a Frank Juster deal. Money is not a problem. Like that's a big deal. Can you fund this? Of course they can fund it. And once again, they've got the assays that are supporting it. But what makes it interesting is that near term, and it's controversial. So this is going to have lots of volume. It's going to have a lot of eyes on it, and they're going to have a lot of news flow. So those are all big things that people want to see if they're involved in any stock. Unless you have ones that you just think, I'm in this, they're building a business, I'm in it for 2, 3, 5 years. You don't need to worry as much. You need to keep an eye on the news, but you can withstand weekly, monthly news flow. It's not as big a deal, but this one is certainly the opposite of that. Lots of attention, lots of eyes, lots of news flow. And for a retail person who's getting excited and new to the space, you kind of need that. You want a lot of news and a lot of information until you get more confident and say, some of these, especially these explorers, they may not put out a ton of news. And it's only a handful of them because they already have deals. They've got the deals with Rio Tinto, Franco-Nevada. They've got deals with BHP. If you're already funded, they'll put out a news release, but they don't have to chase after someone like me to say, hey, remind people about us. They don't have to market because they know their value is increasing as they find things. And it almost works like a private equity deal to some degree because the management can focus on just the assets and building out the assets because they don't have to worry about where the price of the stock is to do another offering. Believe me, when they have deals like that, they get people calling them to do an offering because they want to get involved. But that's kind of the juxtaposition of this kind of market as well. As some of these ones you don't hear as much about, they're just trucking along quite happily because they don't have to come to market and tell you all the time and raise money, which whether it's biotech R&D, tech R&D, or mining R&D, the exploration side, you constantly need money. So if you've got well funding, you're in good hands. And certainly West Red Lake Gold, a lot of pluses there. I mean, once again, if you just look at who you're able to attract, it says a lot. And attracting someone like Gwen, who knows everything inside out, she's been in the space for a long time, talked to everyone, to convince her to come on board, that gives a lot of credibility just there. Not only her subscribers and people that would have followed her before would be intrigued, to say the least, but everyone else should be as well. There's so many that I would like to talk to. I mean, one I will just because, I mean, just up today, they're up 15%, is BlackRock Silver. And we did a great interview with Andrew Pollard, who's the CEO. They've got a PA out. We talked to Andrew about it a little bit, not in depth. We're going to follow up with him about again. But even Red Cloud today, I think this morning put out in their actionable insights. They just reiterated, pay attention to this company, BlackRock Silver. West Tonopah project. They're hitting outstanding assays. They're up and running. Their PA was very positive. I don't have it in front of me. I'm going to say it was a 33% IRR, but I'm going to be careful. But I remember thinking the silver metric there you were using was pretty low, and of course silver is doing very, very well, and that matters too because the LMBA, there was a survey done 2 days ago, and they asked in the survey, where do you think gold's going to be? Where do you think silver is going to be? And in the survey, the consensus was end of 2025, silver is going to be $45. Now, that I get worried even saying that out loud. I've heard people say 100 silver, and all that. I mean, that's mind-boggling. But to have someone print and say at the LMBA in a survey they see $45 silver, can you imagine what that's going to do to any silver producer? I mean, we see Coeur did that deal just last week. There's not a lot of pure silver producers, and here's a silver exploration story who has caught the attention. I mean, just like BlackRock Silver here, last 5 days up 27%. I mean, that's huge. And it's not just like a pump. When you see the interview with Andrew, you're going to see why. There's a lot happening. There's going to be a lot of news flow. It was quiet for a while, and he explains why that is. But that's just another one of the people we talked to that it was just eye-opening. And that's what makes kind of going to these events so special and so exciting. Listen, I'm going to jump off for now because I've got a lot of writing to do, and I kind of encourage people take a look at our Substack, because I'm going to put like what we're buying. Like, we're buying stuff we've been doing in the last few days. We're going to continue buying today. We're shifting stuff around. We've got long-term holds that are just long-term holds forever. I mean, one of the ones we love is Power Nickel. They were there. Can't say enough about Power Nickel. I mean, the confidence of Terry Lynch is incredible. Today they announced their spin out as well. This is a big bonus to anyone. And what's great is, Terry said before, we're going to have lots of news flow. We have no idea what that news flow is, but today we find out, okay, well, here you go. You're going to get this new SpinCo. It's Golden Ivan property and some Chilean assets spun out of the company. There's 13 mineral claims, a total of 797 acres. So they've got, look, there's a couple projects in Chile, and they'll keep a royalty interest in that. This is I'm not good with pronunciation, but Copaquare project. So take a look at that. This is what's great about some of these companies when they get going. They spin out some of their assets and partner up with people, and you get a piece of that as well. This is where the mining sector becomes asymmetric as well, is that you get companies that have great projects, real projects that could be significant. And that's, Power Nickel, this could be very significant asset. It's called nickel, and I keep on reminding people it's a polymetallic nickel formation, exceptionally rare. And that has to be stated. Some of their copper hits are insane. They're incredible. And these types of deposits, if it becomes what it's looking like, are exceptionally wealthy, and they're worth a lot. And it isn't just that it's nickel. There's a nickel formation. There's a copper component. There's spun out other things as well, depending on what it is. We talked about Nornickel or Norilsk, and I want to say that they've produced like 20 million ounces of gold, and people just think of it as a nickel mine. It's the same type of deposit. I don't want to get too kind of ahead of myself as well. I'm not a geo, but that's certainly Dr. Stephen Beresford has made that comparison in video, and that gives you a lot of confidence. Once again, none of these things mean a guarantee of anything, but when you have, like with Power Nickel, 11 billionaires, a lot of them are mining people in it. There's a reason. There's a reason for it. And when they're telling you we're also going to have news and we're drilling, and we're doing this, we've got all the support, that goes a long way. And when you're looking for companies that will stand out when this mining cycle really takes off, it's starting. People are going to start pinpointing out who's invested in what, like who are the majors that looking at investing in. That's who's going to the money's going to flow to first. And once again, if you tried to squeeze a couple $1 billion into the junior mining space, everything lifts at a rapid rate. And that happens. It isn't that it doesn't happen. It does. We talked about it last week. Michael Gentili does a great interview. I can't remember what the name of it is, but we'll post it in the Substack. Outstanding. And he talks about living through the cycle before where that just happens. All sails get raised, or all ships get raised, but the ones that have a lot going, they can really go. And they should. I mean, most of these companies and projects are so undervalued, and it's mostly just because people don't know and they don't care. You don't have anyone other than the odd article about critical metals in the Wall Street Journal or CNBC. Most people don't know what you're talking about that. And that's where we find, if nothing else, I want people to share and send to someone brand new and tell them, listen, just listen to this. You know, you don't have to go buy a stock or even care. But if you do and you don't know what you're doing, like we've said before, a lot of times, go talk to your advisor, go talk to Sprott, go buy an ETF, go buy the junior ETF, whatever, like get involved. You don't have to follow what I'm doing or what I say or anything like that, but get excited and share it to someone new that can see that there's enthusiasm, that there's a lot happening. Because at the end of the day, people say, well, what's in it for me? Like, yeah, I want to help with the energy transition. I want to be involved in that. But you go, well, yeah, sure. You can also lose your shirt in a lot of these solar panel deals, like or clean energy deals. They can go south very quickly. Where you want to be is you want to be the person supplying all of the ingredients to make those. China's going to make all the solar panels. Well, where they're getting the silver from? So you can really take advantage of an unloved sector, ignored, and really taught to be hated, even though it shouldn't be, yet is vital. It's foundational. It's critical. It's the only thing that's going to give you a chance to do your energy transition. And people still haven't put that together. But once they do, this market's going to do very well. And that's enough of my excitement. I wanted to translate that, but take a look at our Substack. I'll flat out tell you what we're buying like right now, and come join us and give me your thoughts. Tell me like, oh no, I don't think that's very good. I think that's not great. We love them. We love your opinion too. There's lots of smart people watching that have been in this game a long time, and they know projects as well. And they'll say, oh, I know that person, or I know this person, or I know that. And we love it because that's good feedback, a little debate back and forth. That's what makes this interesting. And what we need is we need a lot of excitement and interest, and to get people to shift and realize at the end of the day, I want to be a part of this, but I want to make money. And I mean, I have to be careful saying things like that, but there is an opportunity for asymmetric gains, massive gains. If you're willing to take that speculative part, you're willing to take some risk, well-educated risk, put in a little time into research, join us. We'll come over and we'll chat about stuff. We'll work through things. It's like Rick Rule says, if you put in the time, we can, he can nudge you towards things that he likes and the reason why he likes them, but he'll always encourage you. I think it's, if you have 10 hours to spend on looking at a company, I'm happy to share with how you look at a CDR report or whatever it is you want to look at. If you're excited and you want to know what to do, there's a place to learn. You can come to us. We have an entire course as well. Happy to share it with you for free. It's there. It's big. I'll warn you. But our goal here is to get people into the market. Like, we want them in, whether just go buy bullion, just go buy an ETF, whatever you want to go do. But we want to be that gateway in to get people pumped, get them excited, and realize this is happening. And there's a huge opportunity. And it shouldn't just be those in the know. They're sitting there kind of screaming as loud as they can. And listen, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so. There was lots of people screaming 2007, 2008, and they did very well. And everyone looked back and went, oh, well, obviously, look at that. I should have known better. This is one of those times. All the data is clear. It's very obvious. And most of the people in the space are banging their head against the wall saying, when is this going to happen? When is the world going to realize we don't have enough supply to meet the demand? And that's coming to terms. And we're seeing it reflected in prices and commodities. And they're starting to then dig a little deeper, whether it's Reuters, whether it's CNN. They go, oh, okay, maybe like we'll just get more copper. And then they realize, wait a second, can we just, is it that simple? No, it's not. Anyways, enough of me getting too carried away here. We've got lots of data on all that. We have a bit of a synopsis on that BHP report. And once again, we love having you guys here. I wanted to really jump on today, even though it's a busy morning, to kind of give that sense of that excitement and that vibe, and keep people motivated, because we're going to have a pretty good year this next 12 months. Anyways, look forward to hearing your comments. Have a great weekend, everyone. And we'll talk to you real soon.